Ooh, those Effin C-Words. Change and confidence, child. 2 words that are so scary they may as well be curse words. Let's talk about it. On this podcast, we'll share our stories about hardship and starting over, making professional pivots, ending relationships and friendships, and having the confidence to navigate change. I'm Marcia Cork, the Change Coach, and this is Ooh, those Effin C-Words. MCs, welcome back to another episode of Ooh, those Effin C-Words. I am Marcia Cork, and I am here with the woman behind the scene. Yes, I said that right, behind the scene, because when you look at the amazing talent on some of your favorite network TV shows and the beautifully curated ensembles of cast members, you're also looking at the work of casting director Thea Washington. Now, Thea has some big titles under her belt: ABC's The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Big Brother, HBO's We Own This City, Oprah Winfrey Network's Ready to Love, and many, many more in her decade-plus career. And today we have the pleasure of hearing her story firsthand and really getting the behind the scenes for, the grit and the wherewithal that it takes to be a Black woman and pursue an unconventional career in TV and film. All right. So I know you're as ready to hear this story as I am. So, Thea, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And what a lovely introduction.
Oh, great. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to hear this, all the background. So I like these conversations to take a past, present, future kind of format. When we reflect, when we really sit still and think about our past, our childhood, there's always something. There's some life event. There's someone we were exposed to. There's some type of hardship that brings us to the work that we do today, that shapes the work that we want to get into. So that's why I like to have those conversations. My podcast is about change. It's about navigating change. Sometimes we're forced into change, and sometimes it takes, it's a beautiful plot twist.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to start. I want to hear about little Thea growing up in Baltimore and New York, and the stories that shaped you and drove the work that you do today.
Oh, okay. So I would say if it starts from childhood, I would say my first inspiration or motivation would be my mother. I know everybody says that, but listen, my mom was really cool and her job was super cool, but I didn't realize it at that time. And I feel like if my mom was a dentist, I'd be like, yes, I want to be the best dentist I can be, just like my mom. Possibly, maybe not. But my mother was an executive in the music industry. So I grew up on tours and going to Teen Summit, or BET.
I remember Teen Summit.
Yes, meeting famous people. And back then we didn't have Facebook and Instagram. So I come back to school with all these fantastical stories that, they were normal to me. But everybody's like, oh, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying. And I'm like, no, for real. Like my mom said, I can't bring the pictures to school, whatever. But, eventually one time she brought Boys II Men, and it was a group ABC and BBD to my school.
Yes.
So I wasn't lying. Hey, but, then I went to another school. But just having, my mom and all her friends just being so glamorous, beautiful in the music industry, but handling male dominated normal work in such a feminine way, that definitely inspired me.
Was she supportive of a career in entertainment?
Hell no. Oh, should I curse?
Yeah. Yep. You're all good. Those Effin words.
Okay, cool. No. My mother wanted something totally different. And I think she could see the writing on the wall, because the music industry, especially when Napster came about, it took a different decline. And then back in her day, it was Luther and Janet Jackson and Whitney Houston. I want to dance, happy music. And then, she had a job with Loud Records, which had Big Pun. I'm not a player. I just F a lot.
Okay.
And it had Wu-Tang Clan and, all these different people. And she was like, oh, this ain't it. I don't want my child to grow up on this. Mind you, I knew every word for word. Back then, I see my son and his friends, they like look at the lyrics and stuff, and they
Mhm.
have it up for them so they can sing along. Listen, we had to do hard work. We had to rewind and write it down and all that stuff.
Write it down. Yeah, we did get to the point of the CDs and then sometimes having the lyrics inside.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That was my favorite part. Like opening, I would read
Yeah,
everything. But yes, no, she was not. She probably wanted anything other than entertainment. Because
okay.
it did start to get kind of dark and sketchy. And she came out for the most part unscathed, but you don't want your kid growing up in entertainment. I mean, working in entertainment, because it
Yeah.
doesn't always equal sustainable. Um,
Sustainable success. It's not
mhm,
always the glitz and the glam that it is to the outside world. She's, exposed to the darker side, I suppose, of the entertainment industry and
mhm.
wanting to spare you from that. Yeah.
Yeah, and she ran to Jesus, and it became HBO is hell's best offer, and Cinemax is sending to the max. So it was just like, no, yeah. But I did it anyway.
So that's interesting because, I don't wanna, take the shine off of you, but it's pretty impressive that even your mom had a career in the entertainment industry. Can we spend a few minutes on that? What
Yeah.
how did she get into entertainment?
I think that one day, like my mom, even my dad and my mother are both entertainment.
Mhm.
And they never were married. They actually don't really like each other, but my dad will always say, "Your mom is just the most beautiful woman in East and West Baltimore." Like even to this day, he can't stand her, but
Mm.
he will give her props. And she looked like Pam Grier, and she would see
Mhm.
people like hanging up posters and stuff. And I think she just like, because she's beautiful, and it's something about a Baltimore girl. Like you think that they're pretty on the inside, and that's it. But they have personality. They have like,
Mm.
the je ne sais quoi. Like we ain't
Okay.
been nowhere, but we have class sometimes, like we have. So she kind of had that, and she
Okay.
worked at Loud, RCA, EMI, Motown, all those things, and I got to learn on the fly. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, that's how I guess she got started.
And was she in Baltimore at the time when she started a
We
career
was
in
in
entertainment?
Baltimore, New York, everywhere.
Yeah. Say if she was growing up in New York, that would make sense, for
Oh, no,
me
she didn't grow up in Baltimore. I mean, she didn't grow up in New York. She definitely is from Baltimore, West Baltimore, for sure.
Yeah, so it just doesn't strike me. I always say, in a lot of these conversations, I end up talking about how the DC area is just so government driven. There you almost grow up here and get yourself a good government job,
Mhm,
right?
you
So
too?
yeah, so I'm always impressed, just uber impressed when I hear people from this area who have these very unconventional careers because it's just not we're not indoctrinated into those types of jobs and even into entrepreneurship. I have very few examples of entrepreneurship growing up. So
Mhm.
so that makes sense. So you already have two parents in the entertainment industry. She has already gotten the miracle that is an unconventional career herself. So I can see you just kind of falling in line with it. So she's steering you clear initially. Was there anything else that you thought about pursuing, or was it
Well,
always?
I've had every job in a book.
Mhm.
Like, well, first I thought I was gonna be like Diddy in the music industry, like that's what I
Okay.
wanted. And I got my first job at Sony at I think I was 19, and I
Okay.
worked there for like 5 years while I was in school. As a First I was a college marketing rep, and then they just made us urban marketing reps, and then we were just marketing
Mhm.
reps. And it was the most amazing job. Like it was maybe like 15 of us in the whole entire state. And I mean, not state, but the entire US. And
Okay.
we
Oh,
were all
wow.
promoting the music together, picking up the artists, doing the itineraries, taking them to record stores, taking them to the radio stations and all the different things. And it was just, we just felt like the Avengers, like
Mhm.
we're the luckiest people, and you paid us to do this. And we were
Yeah.
young, and they would fly us out to New York and stuff. And a lot of us are still in contact, but that was one of my first jobs. Then I got a good old government job.
Okay. So you did do that.
One whole year, and I'll always say they invited me to leave. Okay.
Mm.
And I work for the jury clerk, well, the court system in Baltimore.
Okay.
The dish was it the district court? I'm not sure. But it's on Calvert Street. I worked there.
Okay.
You had to do jury duty. You had to see me. And I had all these great ideas on how we can make it, a more smooth, like situation for jury
Mm,
duty. They
mm,
just started implementing Twitter for certain businesses. So I created this proposal, called a meeting, like, hey, everybody, I have some ideas. We can
mhm.
make this more effective if we use this thing called the Twitter and social media. Cause I was
The
like,
Twitter.
listen, I was looking people up to see if they were lying or not. And I'm like, we can use
Oh,
social
wow.
media.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, bye. Like then I think the next day after I called the meeting, I got asked to leave, fired. And then I started
Wow.
working for my mom and her label. She eventually got a
Okay.
gospel label under Universal. And I also worked for my friend Tracy Stafford, who was a huge concert promoter. Um, and we did lots of tours, rap tours.
Okay.
Back then it was like Lil Wayne and Gucci Mane. So I did like a lot of the stage production or getting their red M&Ms and putting them on there and just seeing
Getting there what?
getting their red M&Ms. Like some people just want some red M&Ms and getting their
Oh, okay. This is that list that they always say artists require, like in the
uh-huh.
green room and on tour and things like that. All of their essentials, the
Yes,
must-haves. Okay, I got you. I
yes.
have it.
It's called their riders.
Okay. Okay. They're
And so,
riders. Okay. So those are the ride-alongs to their contract agreements.
well, the contract is called the rider.
Okay.
And so you have to get all those things. And I remember
Mhm.
one time, I think the first time we had a concert with Lil Wayne, I like took my job so seriously,
Mhm.
got everything like perfect. And he never got off his tour bus to go to the room that I prepared. So yeah, but that was
Okay. And so you mentioned that you were doing this in college, or
but
you
this
said in
was
school.
yeah.
Okay. So
So
how did you get that? How'd you get that opportunity at school? And this is in Hampton?
well, when I was doing the tours and stuff like that, that was
Mhm.
after college. That was and I did go to Hampton, but this was after my first good government job and
Yeah.
all of that. After they let me go, I would tour with my mother's gospel artists, and on the side, when my friend would have a show, because promoters don't have shows every week, they have them like maybe once a month, once
Mhm.
every 2 months. I would do shows with her,
Okay.
just being like support and all of that. But the Sony stuff was definitely in college and after. So.
Okay. And so how do you get those opportunities? Because I want to also have people know where to start. So if you're in college and you are already, you already have your sights set on a career in entertainment, how do you get these types of internships and opportunities?
Listen, definitely go on LinkedIn, go on staffmeup.com. Um,
Mhm.
when your school has stuff, go and meet people, shake hands, don't be weird. Follow up with people. That's the best thing you
Mhm.
can do is follow up and be consistent. It's a fine line between being um, consistent, persistent, and annoying.
Mhm.
Um, and I
I like
think
that.
when you're a kid, it don't matter. They're like, okay, but just know that um, a lot of these people that are in these positions that you're looking up to, they don't got their stuff together. So
Yeah.
mentorship goes both ways.
Yeah.
If I'm going to mentor you and impart wisdom on you, what can you help me with? Can you help that person with social media? Can you, volunteer at their book thing and help them sell books? Can you help them,
Mhm.
just volunteer and let them know like, hey, I would love to work with you. I'm not trying to take your client. I'm not trying to be you. I just would
Mhm.
like to see what it is that you do, if you're young. Now, if you're an adult, you might have to get a consultant because,
Okay.
people were like, oh, can you mentor me? And I'm like, Miss Ma'am, I'm not going to teach you what I do so you can take me out. We ain't doing that. And, you know, I will mentor kids and I'll impart wisdom on anybody
Mhm.
have. You can learn from anyone and you never stop learning. And there are certain things.
Yeah.
But I think that people don't understand, like as interns, you have to be the president of the intern. Don't be trying to overstep everybody. Because that's the best
Mm.
way to get invited to leave.
Invited to leave. Yes.
And then also you don't want, because I've had so many nightmare employees and a lot of amazing ones too. I love y'all. Hi, Ryans.
Mhm.
But I've had a lot of nightmare ones that will create a whole empire off of stuff that you have taught them, you have
Yeah.
done, they'll try to reach out to your clients. Like I had an assistant on the HBO show pop up and be on a panel and say she was the executive casting director for HBO. And I'm like, girl,
Wow.
girl, you weren't even a good assistant at that, and you're on a panel publicly. Like, no,
Wow.
I'm not
And
even,
this is even in your presence?
huh?
And this is even in your presence that this is happening?
You didn't know that I saw the flyer, because
Ah,
we had parted ways, and she popped up, and I was like, "This was our assistant. She's
yeah.
not an executive casting director. She's not even a casting director." Um, and I've had people like steal my stuff and try to do consulting and teach courses and stuff like that. So if you are looking to shift or pivot and you want guidance from someone other than me, I think that you should definitely let them know that you will, sign some type of non-compete.
Yeah.
You will sign an NDA. You will not try to take any of their clients. You will not try to do what they do, at least in this market. So maybe
Yeah.
reach out to someone who does what you want to do in a different market. Or maybe you can add value to them and let them know, like, look, you show me what you want to do or how you do it, and
Mhm.
I will assist you, and I will help grow
Mm.
your business, and we can bring more people in, because that's how you grow a company. But people have to like you and they have to trust you. And I don't
Yeah.
trust a lot of people.
Yeah, no, these are some great points, and it is a very slippery slope when it comes to that type of mentorship and providing that type of guidance. I've heard lots of mentors say that eventually the mentor becomes the mentee, or the teacher becomes the student
Hmm.
eventually. And that's because there's this relationship of learning and then learning through teaching. People always say, even teachers, the reason why you stay so informed is because you always have one foot in both worlds.
Yeah.
You are learning as you go along. So there's something great that can come out of these mentor mentee relationships and these teacher student relationships, but again, tricky because you're also connecting people, connecting them within your circle,
Mhm.
and giving this type of guidance that does expose them to people that they wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And then maybe there is some risk of forming relationships and you being left out of the loop. So that is, I'm glad you say that, because there is a way to navigate this without bringing harm and severing relationships. So it's good that you mentioned that. Some
And,
people
and,
go
and
in.
check references, because I'd be
Exactly.
like, oh, they seem so nice. Oh my God. And I'm so busy. So I don't think people are psycho liars. So I believe what people say, but check references, if
Yeah.
nothing else, like especially the people that are in position. Um, do your homework, have conversations with the references, shoot, even network with the references if they good.
Yeah.
Um, and then also keep your stuff separate. Like, just give some, relinquish, like, and just have good communication with them. And when they take something else on, but it's like it's an art to it.
Hmm.
I've worked with one of my colleagues. We partnered on a project before, and I was like, you have all these assistants, and you run like a tight oiled machine. What I didn't know was that they are all on FaceTime for 10 hours a day. So she sees what everyone is doing. If someone takes a break, they might have their camera. I was like, oh, I ain't doing that. Like,
Oh, okay. Okay.
so
So a
they
virtual type of environment, and
had
she has insight into what they're doing all day long.
all day long, all day
Mm.
long.
So she must have been burned.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay. Okay. Well, that is a very good suggestion, to have conversations about non-compete. What
mhm.
does this relationship look like, and where do you want to go? How do you want to apply this knowledge, and where do you want to take it? Because you are going to have there's you if you even reach out to somebody for mentorship and guidance, it's because this is the field, this is the line of work that you're interested in. So there is going to be some murky waters to navigate. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
great tip. Thank you for that. Okay, so we've gotten up to the point of you working at this point with Sony. Where does it get to the point where you see this is something that you can do for yourself, and you pivot out of music and into TV
Well,
film and casting?
It took a while for me to get there, but I worked
Okay.
for an amazing woman, Jermaine Leffridge. I pivoted into beauty. Um,
Beauty. Okay.
so I worked for the top brokerage firm in the multicultural African American space
Okay.
for beauty. So I worked for a lot of products that I grew up using, from Luster to Talia Wajid, Ambi Skincare, ORS, all that stuff. So I
Okay.
work for a woman who's in Columbia, Maryland. She is the reason why those products are in the Targets, the Walmarts, the
Oh,
CVS's.
wow.
And I eventually gained a lot of trust, where I was doing a lot of things that her senior executives were doing.
Okay.
And, as a young kid, I probably was like maybe 25. To me, that's a kid. I was flying on planes. I was setting up trade shows and
Mm-hmm.
doing doing like presentations for new brands, and finding other brands to present, and doing the planograms, and just doing so much. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, she really trusts me to do all this, and I'm doing it well. So it helped build up my confidence by doing it for someone else.
Okay.
And I was like, I think I want to open a thrift store. And me quitting to open a thrift store kind of led me into styling, which I had I think a pretty successful styling career. My work is in the African American Museum. I was signed to an agent. I did
Wow.
Beats by Dre commercials. I did covers of magazines from Money Magazine and House and Beautiful. I've
Okay.
done quite a stuff in that arena. But I was like, styling is cool, but how do I get a consistent check? Like, I
Mm.
love this work. And so I stumbled on a true crime show as a stylist, and
Okay.
very underpaid. The casting director quit, and I always, no matter where I was, even when I was in the beauty industry, I loved to hire my friends and put them on. Even in the music, I loved to hire them and put them on. So
Okay.
it kind of always like the same. So I was like, oh, I can do that. Casting, I do that all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Um, so yeah. So from there, I took on the role of styling and casting, and I was grossly underpaid. It was a show on the Reels Network. It was the first season of Copycat
Mm-hmm.
Killers. I think they're on like
Okay.
season 15 or 20 by now. But um yeah, so that was basically like my film school, because I ended up
Yeah.
doing not just that. Sometimes I would have to help with locations. I would have to
Mm-hmm.
help hire the crew and just do all this stuff. And to me, I was like, wow, this is going to be on real TV. I want to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
if I can just get through this, I'm really going to rock out. And so I did. And that led to me getting referrals for other shows. And they were like, yeah,
Okay.
you just have to cast. That's it. And I was like, one thing? Okay. I get paid that much? Okay. And I learned
Okay.
that I was grossly underpaid, but I just loved it so much. So that's how I
And
got
were you getting casting credit for that true crime show at the time?
casting and wardrobe.
Okay. Okay. So let me connect the dots then. So because it sounds like you've worn a lot of hats, even in every industry, you did a little bit of everything, which is probably what made you qualified for the next opportunity.
Mhm.
So you're starting out as a role similar to what sounds like marketing rep and things like that in the music industry, and then being able to take that and pivot into, you said beauty from there.
Mhm.
Okay. And so then from beauty into styling, deciding to open your own thrift store, and then from the styling to casting director and to casting. And that was mainly because of your experience being able to hire talent to support the other roles and projects that you were working on. So I have to say, there's also a lot of confidence that comes in this. You know, we talk about imposter syndrome
Mhm.
and how women seem to suffer from that the most. So there's also confidence in this that you feel um, polished and professional enough to say, yes, I can do this, and then be willing to make that pivot. Because for a lot of people, what stops them is them feeling like they aren't immersed enough in that environment already, or doing the work that they want to do, having enough um, of a skill set to make that pivot. So I love that you've been able to consistently transfer that knowledge and that skill set into another environment. You always had that confidence. Just yes, I can do it.
Um,
It's gonna
I
get done.
felt like so like even when I was like in high school, I just felt like I was gonna do something important. This
Hmm.
is a waste of my time. Like I don't know. And then seeing people that were mediocre in high positions, I think that gave me my confidence.
Yeah,
And I was reading the book by Rachel Rogers, I believe We Should All Be Millionaires. And she was saying that the statistics show that men will be so underqualified and will go for a position. Women
yeah,
will see one thing that they're not qualified for and will pass it up.
yep,
But after that imposter syndrome, shoot,
yeah.
there's been a couple cases I was the imposter. Like when I got my first bartending gig, I realized I was a terrible waitress, but I was like, I can do that. Get double the money sitting in one place. Somebody called out. I was like, yeah, I do that all the time. Let me do that. Listen,
Okay.
terrible bartender. Yes. Did everyone get drunk? Yes. This time, yes. And did I learn along the way? Yes. So I think like if people like you and trust you
Hmm.
a little bit,
Hmm.
you could do anything. And if you have the withal to figure it out. And
Yeah.
right now we have Google, we have YouTube, we have all these different resources. So
Yep.
I say don't say no, just say, sure, let me get back to you. Um,
Yeah.
or let me see the scope of work and you better go and research every damn thing.
Yes.
Awesome people get consultants, do whatever you got to do. Like figure it out because
Yeah.
there is so much opportunity out here and you shouldn't be able to tell yourself no to an opportunity before someone else does.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the wins. It seems like you've been able to successfully thread into any field that you set your sights on. Any hardships, any challenges
All
breaking
the
in anywhere?
time, all the time.
Mhm.
Because like, I mean, some days I'm like, I don't want to say it's like drug dealer money, but one of my
Tell me
good
more.
one of my good friends, Sarah, like I heard her say,
You putting her name out there too?
yeah, okay, she's not the drug dealer money, but
Okay, okay.
she said something that kind of like changed my perspective. She was just like, her name is Sarah Stusek. Um, she said that, wait, they offered me to come in for it was a nice company too. They offered me to come in for an interview. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Mhm.
And what role, whatever. And she was like, I'm not doing it. And I was like, what? She was like, number one, nobody gets to tell me how much I get to make. And number two, I'm not coming in every day. I don't know them people. I don't even know if I like them damn people. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I like that.
Mm.
So the struggle is like some days it's drug dealer money, and then some days it's like crackhead money, you know?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
sometimes you have like an amazing season. Like
Mm.
I would say I had an amazing run these past 3 years, like just
Okay.
booked nonstop or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm okay now. I'm on a show now. I have a possible show coming up. But to be like so crazy booked where the
Mhm.
money is so amazing, it's so great. You don't have to look for a job. I don't market. I haven't been, I haven't had to market. But it's like sometimes you got to start at square one again. So you got to
Okay.
reach out like, hey, it was great working with you last year. Just like, I'm in the area. Hey, I'm still casting stuff because people will think that you won't do commercials anymore because they see you on film or you're
Mm.
doing reality. They think like, oh, she doesn't do local stuff. Or, I'm like, hey, I'm hitting up every single person I have made money with.
Mhm.
And hey, I'm here. What's up? So, that part and with it having to go get it, I guess that's a challenge because you're
Yeah.
working, but then you still have to do the outreach. So yeah.
Okay. So what does go get it look like?
Go
Someone
get
starting
it.
out. Yeah.
You said starting out or just
Yeah.
now?
Let,
Um,
let's say both because I want to hear your story and then I want to hear the wisdom that you impart on others for breaking through themselves.
Okay. Well, this could kind of be like a 2 for 1. So, like
Okay.
I said, we have YouTube and we have Google. So, let's say you are an actor, use Google and look up every single casting director and send them an
Okay.
email and
Hmm.
create a database and a list of everybody that you've reached out to. Take a note, make a personal note. Like, don't blast them out. I hate when people will send me a text with all these other casting directors. Some I like, some of them I don't want to have my number.
Mm.
So just get busy, go and I hate to say network, but reach out, go on
Yeah.
people's pages, like do some research. What movie did you like? Go and look up to see who is the hiring person on that, who was the producer, who was the casting director, and then go and see if they have a LinkedIn. Hit them up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Hit them up on Instagram. As long as they don't say don't slide on my DMs or this is
Hmm.
for people that know me for real. Reach
Hmm.
out. Send them an email. Let them know that, hey, I'm in the area. Let me know if you have something that's going on. And then take that same list and reach out to it quarterly. And I'm sure if you don't get something, within the first month, you will get something, eventually. So doing that has kind of been a big help for me,
Okay.
as far as the outreach during the slow time. Hiring help, automating stuff has been helpful. Um, saying no a lot is
Hmm.
very helpful because if you say yes to something, you might have to say no to something else.
Okay.
And just making sure that you are true to yourself and you know yourself. Because I had a Zoom with someone and I felt really sad when I got off of it because I'm like, I'm not doing background casting anymore because it's just so stressful. It's a lot.
So tell me about that. What's background casting?
Background casting is creating an atmosphere for different television shows, movies, digital media, whatever you may see. Anybody that's in the background that does not have um, a principal role or a speaker.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The people that have lines, they're considered principal or day players, and anybody else in the background. So if
Hmm.
you don't have
So
background,
those are the extras. I used to hear that word,
yes,
extras. Okay.
they're extras. And if you don't have extras or background, you really just have a stage play, you know? So they
Yeah.
create the atmosphere, they make it real. And,
Okay.
it's very strenuous. On a couple of projects, the one with the Obama's production company, Rustin, that comes out soon,
Hmm.
cast
Hmm.
2,000 people in a short amount of time. And that's
2,000 extras.
2,000 extras.
Okay.
And that's hard because you're really starting with 10,000 because one, you have to make sure that the schedule works. And then if it's a period piece, which it was
Hmm.
called Bayard Rustin and Martin Luther King and all of that. You have to make sure that they fit the clothing. And for some
Hmm.
reason, all the clothing back in the day was small. I think we were smaller. We didn't have the supersized McDonald's and all that stuff like that.
Hmm.
So you have to make sure that people fit into those clothing. So that brings you down even more. Then you have to make sure they understand that, okay, I have to show up to my different COVID tests. They have to show up to their fitting.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
to make sure that if it's a period piece, that they don't show up with, a lace front wig or blonde hair or modern tattoos and things like that. Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot. It's very strenuous. For We Own the City, I believe that was on HBO. We did 5,000 at the minimum, and that was
Ooh.
taxing. That was taxing.
And how many actually get selected out of the 5,000?
5,000 were selected, but I think
Okay.
that we probably started with 20,000 maybe
That is
to
crazy.
get to that number, and it was a lot. And people are in your DMs and they're texting you, they're calling you,
Yeah.
they're on your Facebook, they're on, and I didn't get picked, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
Getting it from so I basically retired. I only do local casting, which is the people that didn't come in from LA or New York, that aren't
Okay.
really like celebrity, but they still have speaking roles. I'll do that. I'll do
Okay.
commercials. I'll do reality, but I cannot have everybody in Baltimore that know me since kindergarten reaching out to me. It is mentally, emotionally, physically taxing. Like, it's
Yes.
And
So
then
10,000 people and a team of how many to field all of these incoming requests and questions and headshots and all of that?
okay, so we own the city. I think it was like three of us with my mediocre assistant, the one that was like single white female,
Mm,
and we hired someone else. So yeah, so we had four at the maximum, and that's and it goes so fast. So you have
yeah,
to keep casting, keep, and then if they don't show up to a COVID test, you have to start again
yeah,
and make sure that you have someone that you can disguise as this person. Like it's no, thank you.
yeah. But it does sound like a good entry point, though. So if all of the experienced, seasoned, veteran, casting directors have now backed away from background casting because it's a lot of work, someone who wants to enter that field and is, hungry and has the hustle, that
Go
could be
ahead,
their entry point.
do it. Have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And then there's no controls that you can put in place because those are all of the methods that you need people to reach out to you. So like, on social media, you want people to be able to contact you for casting purposes, but then you can't control then the incessant follow-up questions and
Yeah.
checking it. Yeah,
I
that's
would I would direct people to, and I still have the automated message on my daggone social media, but I would direct everybody to the inbox so that way me or my casting partner or one of our team members can respond because it's
okay.
just stuff falls be below the loop. Like I might not
Yeah.
see it. So I just direct everybody to the email.
Okay. And how much time generally do you have on a project to cast?
It just depends.
Okay.
So I usually like to have 1 month worth of prep, which will consist of me promoting it, getting the word out, seeing who I have, seeing who's available, seeing who fits the different roles, and doing a breakdown, and seeing what we need on which day and what the
Mhm.
wardrobe needs, and creating a different packet, creating a packet for background or whoever it is, whatever project. Um, so that way they know what to do for hair, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, getting the language approved that I use in social media and on the casting websites, knowing what we can use and what we can't. Sometimes I try to help out prop cars by posting their stuff so my actors can get a bump up with pay if they get the prop cars. So
Now what's that? Prop
so
card?
there are so many different ways you can get paid. You can use your location, like your home. Sometimes productions want to film in your home. That could be extra $500 to $1,000 for you, um, depending on the production. Cars. People think, oh, I don't have a fancy car. It doesn't matter. We're creating real life. So you might get an extra $100 for your Toyota
Mhm.
to be on set, just parked. You might, if it
Oh.
becomes the hero car, which means like the stars, the one that the star drives,
Mhm.
you'll probably get $500 a day. Um,
There's a term for that?
mhm,
A hero car? Wow, look
mhm,
at that.
yep. So it's just a lot of different ways to make money as an
Mhm.
actor. And I always say, if you have, if you're doing a family submission, use your real family if they will do it and act right and not embarrass
Okay.
you. Like submit your real family, submit your house. Like, hey, I don't know if you guys need a location, but this is my home. You're welcome to film here.
Okay.
Um, we also have cars. Don't know what the creative looks like, but you're welcome to use my car as a prop
Okay.
car if needed. There you go.
Hmm. Okay, so do the reality stars get paid in this way? Does that up their earning potential by shooting in their home and
No,
no.
mm,
No.
no.
Okay.
I really want reality stars to be paid more,
Okay.
um, but they get a lot out of it. They get a new platform, whatever they have. And I always tell reality stars go in with intention. You
Okay.
know,
Mhm.
if you are a gym person, if you own a gym, go in with your gym t-shirt on. Take your date
Mm.
to the
Mhm.
gym that you own. Have a social like, hey guys, I'm having a get together. Make it work for you.
Yeah.
And don't embarrass yourself. unless that's your brand. If your brand is embarrassing yourself, you do that and you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't embarrass yourself on the show, you mean? So
Yeah.
that it tarnishes your brand?
Yeah, because you
Okay.
have to
Yeah.
live after those 6 weeks or
Right.
a couple of months that you're on that reality show. So
Right.
make sure you set yourself up properly. Um, don't, just play to win. Play to
Yeah.
win. If you're really genuinely looking for love, put that out there. You may not find them on the show, but it could be somebody
Mhm.
that's fine and wealthy and tall watching you.
Yeah, who
So
slides into your DMs afterwards.
yeah,
Okay.
all the time. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then do you have, repeat clients? Is that what we would call them, clients? So people who you put on, reality shows or other projects who you can then cast for other projects? Does that those do
I'm
those
glad you said
relationships
that.
exist?
So I am not an agent. I'm a casting director,
Mhm.
which means that agents will get a percentage of getting that person work, right?
Okay.
Agents work for the talent. I do not. Although I advocate for talent and I make sure that it's a win-win situation all the way around, I advocate for talent, but I work and paid. I work with the production companies. I work for myself, but I work with the
Mhm.
production companies.
Mhm.
They pay me. But talent does not pay me. So I'd be like, hold up, I don't work for you, boo. Watch your tongue. Let's not get carried away. But
Yeah.
no, if people don't get on my nerves or irritate me or cause drama, I will work with everyone again and again. I love my folks. Like even the ones that's a little bit annoying. I love them. I
Yeah.
will work with them again and again. Yeah.
I'm glad you made that distinction because I was looking at it like the people that you cast are your clients, but no, the production teams are your clients or the
Hmm.
production. Okay. Yeah, thank you for making that distinction. Okay, so we talked about some hardships. Any other hardships to breaking in the industry or to,
Yes.
establishing solid footing? Yeah.
Yes. A hardship I will say is that at first when you get on, you probably got to start entry level. Um, it don't pay like that. People are like, "You a grown woman, what you doing?" And then you're a mother, so it's like
Mhm.
the childcare, creating boundaries, being comfortable enough where you are to create boundaries within um, your production company that you're working with or the television shows to let them know, like, look, during this time, I pick up my son. Look,
Yeah.
after this time, I may not say it like this,
Yeah.
but if it's an emergency, you can text me and I'll address it in the morning. Like, if it's an emergency, text me after hours. But
Mhm.
I had to unlearn this Diddy work, grind culture.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because you'll sleep when you die. That stuff will have you dead sooner. So
Yep.
I don't subscribe to the sleep when you die thing. Um,
Same.
yeah, and I feel like my 100% is good enough. Um,
Mhm.
I have different things that I bring to the table. I don't exchange. When people hire me, they're not hiring me hourly. They're hiring me for, the way my work looks, the way I present it, the way I'm able to bring certain people that you wouldn't have thought uh,
Yeah.
for certain roles, or the way that I get it in on time, or
Right.
just certain things. Or I might challenge you, like, "Hey, you got two black parents and a biracial kid. That's what we're doing." Just
Mm, mhm.
challenging certain things, like, "Hey, every
Yeah.
black person on this is very light skinned. Is that cool with you?"
Yeah.
Um, or there are no black men, there are no black women, like, or like just saying, like, why does the doctor have to be a white older man? Can
Mhm.
some young one, even if it's a young female, there are a lot of young
Okay.
female doctors that come right out and yeah.
And it's the casting director pushing the envelope to make these types of calls and suggestions to bring, um, production and what other roles? Producers, executive.
Producers, executives, consultants,
Yeah.
clients. Yeah, sometimes I push it, sometimes they don't take it, but at least
Mhm.
And
Okay.
if they come back for your ass on TikTok talking about your colorist commercial, I said it first. I called
Yeah.
you out.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I know I've been seeing a lot more movies on, I'll say Netflix, for example. I'll see movies and looking at the storyline, I get the feeling sometimes that it was originally written for a white family or for a white actor or actress. But I can tell that they went with a person of color, and there are parts of the storyline that probably should have changed to support that decision,
Mhm.
but didn't quite, you know what I mean? That like there's something that indicated this wasn't originally for a person of color, but they made it for a person of color. I can see that.
For
I can
instance,
see
that Zoe Saldana movie. I know it's based on a true story and it's a black woman, but
that.
Zoe
Mhm.
is not, her family members did not match her. They were like,
Mm.
you know,
The sister did
black,
not.
home,
Yeah.
yeah, I got some Hennessy. Hennessy? Like what? Like,
Yeah.
Zoe, you ain't been to the hood. You don't know what the hood look like. This ain't for you. Like, it was just bad casting, and she was supposed to play like, and I'm sorry, but she probably was an executive producer. That's why she had to play the lead. But she had to play somebody in her 20s. Boo, you look good, but you don't look 20.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
And it's just like it's a disconnect. Just like
Yeah.
I just feel like she's always went up, unless she has that makeup on her in the Galaxy movie or whatever, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hmm.
Like when she played Nina Simone, like, boo, you light skinned.
Yeah.
What you
Yeah.
doing?
She's had some moments.
She's had, I mean, we all have moments. I'm not beating that sister up, but
No, I hear
I
you.
feel you when I see a lot of the things. And that's why I just created a project that we self-funded with my friend Jamar Jones, who's a director, and it's called A Moment of Black Love. I just posted
Okay.
it on my page. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yes.
We wanted like real black issues that was not trauma porn, that was not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
someone getting shot by the police, not we protesting, not we overcoming, and not
Mm-hmm.
over sexualized. Like I'm really, Harlem still hire me, but I feel like it's over sexualized. Like
Mm-hmm.
I want to see black people being black. And that's why Tyler
Yeah.
Perry, people will watch that a million times, not because it's great, because we like to see us represented in the media.
Yes.
And people, the companies that are green lighting it, they feel like, oh, we made our quota with Tyler Perry and all these other low budget movies. But you got to think about it, when black movies used to be good as hell, like when we had
Yeah.
Boomerang and Set It Off and you
Yeah.
know Love and Basketball and just
Yeah.
all these
Feel
great,
good movies that just represent our day to day.
nobody
Yeah.
was a damn slave. It was,
Yeah.
I feel like three slave movies a year come out, and it's like it's trauma porn. It's traumatic.
Yeah.
We know our history, but our history is even bigger than just that period of time when we were slaves. The
Yeah.
slavery was 400 plus years, sure, but there were times where we had blacks in civilization. They were blacks that were already here. There were blacks that left slavery and became millionaires.
Yeah.
There's a book about it. Like it's documented. There were more than just one Greenwood,
Yeah.
or like we don't talk about, all we talk about is the Tulsa bombing, but what about Tulsa before it got bombed? Like it was
Right.
a place. Black people were being black and beautiful and getting money, and they had
Mhm.
several movie theaters at the one in Tulsa, like several.
Mhm.
Can you imagine that in one community for all black people?
Yeah, and so it just makes you wonder why some films continue to get the green light. So on the one hand, they say they want black people to stop talking about it. No. We got some help there. Okay.
It's bull crap. And I was gonna say that, I'm like, all these people have all of these resources and funding and connections. And I look at some of the stuff that they took their money and their time and their effort to write and put out there. And I'm a send it to you offline so you know how pissed I am. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, that's what you decided to come up with?
Yeah.
That's your legacy? Like that for black people?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Harlem, but I'm talking about some other low budget movies that have major distribution, and I'm just so disappointed. And it's like I will self fund to get what I want,
Yeah.
or I'll just turn it down. And I'm grateful to be in a position where my fiance is like, babe, if that is beneath you and you feel like it
Right.
does not align with you, don't take it. And I won't. I will
Yeah.
pass on the check. Um, And I'm not no billionaire, but I will pass for my,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I hear you. I hear you. And that goes back to what you were saying earlier, when you were, what was it? Relieved, asked to, what was your
Invited to
phrasing?
leave. Invited to leave.
Invited to leave. Yeah. So that is the je ne sais quoi in you. That is your secret sauce, is I have a voice. I have something to contribute to this product, to this production. If you allow me, this is what you're going to get from me that you probably aren't going to get from my competitors. So I love that you stand on that and have built your business around that promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was risky early on because, you know, when did Black Lives start mattering? Like a few years ago.
Hmm. After
So yeah, I'm in these meetings with executives, like, you know, I've been the only Black girl in the class. Like, we need some more
oh
Black
yeah,
people
we've
in
all
here,
been there.
you know, and it was very risky. But now I look at all my competitors who are, you know, they probably got me about 30 years, maybe 20
Mm.
years, 30 years, and very Caucasian. And they have Black Lives Matter on their thing. And it's like, yo,
Mm.
you wasn't what?
Yeah.
So it's just
Well,
it's
that was the boom. That was experienced everywhere. That was the boom in the DEI profession.
Mhm.
And now we see those positions now people being laid off. So where they brought in entire DEI teams first to be laid off.
Mm.
Yeah.
I hope everybody who got a DEI job, first of all, I hope you got two of them and was double doing them from home and stacked your money and used it as some reparations and do what the hell you want now and invested it wisely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is a trend that's happening with the DEI positions. And it's
Yeah.
like my question there is like, what the hell determines diversity? You have a DEI department, right? But the company that's hiring most likely is white. So a lot of times I see
Mm.
these people in the positions that you are the Black friend. You don't know Blackness, but because you're Black
Mhm.
now, you know, you've been assimilating your whole life and being very, you know, yeah, you know, our type
Yeah.
of people, type of bourgeois, boule, whatever. And now because it's trendy, you profit off of this. And if somebody is in that position that should be, it could be a beautiful thing. But there are a
Mhm.
lot of, and I hate the word gatekeepers in these positions, and they're passing up on some amazing people and some amazing work that could be done from their position of power.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So to that point, then some disappointments. Biggest disappointment to date.
Biggest okay. Um so when I was at Hampton, because I'm from Baltimore, I was obsessed with The Wire,
Okay.
and I would make everyone watch The Wire and The Corner.
Okay.
Um, I would I always like impersonate movies, like old movies back in the day or whatever, but I had all of my friends from all over watching this stuff. Like, this is amazing. I even, when I met the people that created The Wire, I was like, yo, back when I was in college, I had the bootleg version and we would watch
Mm.
it over and over. Like, I'm
You're not
not
supposed to say
saying
that.
it, but hey, you know, I'm a fan. So I have been working with my head down, all this stuff, and
Mhm.
everyone knew that The Wire was going to be done for, and you know, that was it. That was a
Mhm.
moment in time. I was young when that came out or whatever. But I had the opportunity to interview with the executive producer, Nina Noble.
Okay.
And then I interviewed with the head casting director for not just The Wire, but I believe The Corner. And she also did another one of my shows, which was Pose. The first three seasons were my favorite.
Okay.
Um, and so I was supposed to be up for local casting, which means everyone else that's not like a super celebrity, but local, like people that you don't have to fly in.
Okay.
So I was up for that, and I just was holding it to my chest, like, yes, I am about to blow up, and not
Mm.
just blow up with my favorite show. So I'm like, in the interview, I'm like, yes, I'm killing it. I know all of her work. I know all of that stuff. I know the characters. I'm Baltimore. I'm everybody's cousin. I know
Yeah.
everybody here. I know the bougies. I know the political people. I know the hood rats. I know the
Yeah.
drug dealers. I am Baltimore. You can't do this without me. I'm
Yeah.
about to blow up, and this is going to take me to the next level. Yes, I'm doing local casting. Yes.
Hmm.
So then I thought it was a sign that the head casting director for, the celebrities in the overall view and scope of the show, she knew someone who I hired. Her assistant was friends with someone who I hired as kind of like a mentor / consultant. So I'm like, this is a sign. I'm about to get it. Yes. Then, I created like me and my plans or whatever. Like, this is how I plan to execute it in the time of COVID. We're going to do a huge social media push. We're going to do radio. We're going to do this. Like, I just had it all planned out.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that. I'll have people do selfies. We'll do Zoom interviews. We'll do this. This is going to be my team. Here are the resumes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do this. Next thing I know, and there is another woman that is my colleague. She's probably like, I'm not even lying. I'm not being smart. She's 80 years old, and I give her props. She was forever. Her assistant, Emily, is awesome. Cool. But I was told that she retired. Next thing I know, she did not retire. She gets the local position, which is semi-principal casting. And when I tell you, I almost cried.
Yeah.
I didn't almost cry. I cried like a baby. I cried like a breakup. I cried like a divorce. I cried like my dog got hit and then rolled over again. Like, I was crying. Like, it was the most heartbreaking, humiliating, disappointing thing almost to date. But she put me on background, and I partnered with one of the top casting people in America. Any movie you can think of, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. And they were so nice, like the Chick-fil-A, GWC casting, Grant Wilfley, Melissa, and Allison. They were like the nicest people and their whole team, and they like brought me in. And I had never worked for another casting company over one at that point, because I'm the Lone Ranger out here. We're not like a principal. We're not a mainstream market. And so I was able to partner with them, and I was able to give 5,000 people jobs with my casting folks. And we it's so many people that are now in stunts that got bumped up to principal that, never thought they would have a career in movies, and they on their fourth one, being background, or, they're taking classes now, or they got to get in the set. They got to pay their child support off. Who knows? But it was my time to serve and really put on for my city. And I feel like that was the blessing in disguise,
Yeah, girl, that was good. Yeah, that was a good story. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. Just, you set it up well, and then where you brought in the disappointment, like I could hear where it was coming when the lady didn't retire, and then the upswing, all the good that came out of that. Yeah, I think, that was a good one.
And you know what? I hired so many people that came home from jail. Because we have to get people to play criminals. I'm like, oh, we don't do no background checks? Okay. So I had my people, Peanut King. I was like, hey, you got some people that just came home in your position. And actually that's called prison reform. But I was just trying to sneak them through, like, hey.
It's second chance hiring. Yeah.
Second chance hiring. And, they loved it. And I remember one time on set, they were like, hey, props. You did a great job with the ankle monitor. That was a good touch. And I'm like, oh, that ain't props.
So. I love this. Yeah, there is actually reform to policies and actually tax credits and benefits that are offered to businesses who do second chance hiring for returning citizens. Yeah,
absolutely. And I didn't know that it was so radical at the time. I didn't know that it was all these things. And when it was over, maybe a few months, I got invited to speak at the Maryland Film Festival for the HBO panel. Wow. They were nice enough to fly me out to LA, and I got 2,000 word story in the magazine. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of stuff that
Mhm.
Baltimore Magazine, written by Max Weiss. Yes.
Okay.
It was a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that came from that I probably wouldn't have gotten if I did the local casting, because I was
Mm,
maybe
mhm,
50 people a job, but when you
mhm.
get 5,000, that's a lot of jobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know something now, so that's the background casting that we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Fooling me already. All right. Well, you may have said it because that was such a good story, but I was gonna say your greatest success to date.
My greatest success to date is that I have a career that I love still.
Mhm,
I have a man that I love still,
mhm.
and my son is just amazing. So I feel like I have healthy relationship with my fiance, my son, and my career. Like
Okay.
they just all kind of go together.
Okay.
And I don't think I quite have balance, but I think I
I was
have
gonna
something
ask
close
that.
to it. Yeah. As
Okay.
close to it as I can. I do. So yeah, I'm great. I think my biggest success is my love relationship, my child relationship, and my career relationship, I think.
Perfect. I love it. Okay, so what's next?
What is next? Um, well, I'm on Ready to Love, and I'm looking for men in Dallas, ages 30 to 50, that have jobs, real
Mhm.
ones, that are legally divorced, legally single. No one think you go with them, and vice versa. Um, your mama don't live with you.
You asking for a lot.
I have to be very specific with men because men are the masters of omitting. So
Mm,
I'm like, who lives with you? You know, do you have a roommate? Did you used to date your roommate? Is your
mm,
roommate female? Is it an ex? You know, like I have to ask
mhm.
all the things, like
The
how many
same question in a million different ways.
in a million different ways, because they be like,
Uh-huh.
oh, but you asked me this, but you ain't asked me. Nah,
Okay.
I'm time enough for y'all. Y'all not gonna get it past me. So I'm doing that. I'm looking forward to more commercials.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to, you know, no background casting,
Mhm.
but doing beautiful projects like the one, A Moment of Black Love, and just expanding, not swelling, um,
I like that.
and spending more time with my kid, my
Yeah.
fiance, and doing what I love and getting paid very well for it. So,
Yeah, I hear that. Okay, so explain that. That sounds like maybe a philosophy or mantra, the not swelling. Tell
okay.
us that again and explain it.
Some people, and I feel like this is my career per se. Some people want to blow up and they will step on whoever to get to that stardom. But there, I've been doing it the slow way. Like anybody who knows me and knows me, they'll tell you, I try to keep my word. I'm a woman of my word. Even if it hurts me sometimes,
Mhm.
I am very, like, I can sleep at night. I like who I am. I'm not
Mhm.
doing nothing shady. I'm not taking nothing from nobody. Um, and I'm not doing no corny, terrible movies that make me embarrassed, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so some people just want to blow up by any means and will take anything, will do whatever. And you got to kind of learn the game. You have to learn and respect the people that you work
Yeah.
with, because a lot of my referrals come from production assistants, which are kind of like paid interns on set, or locations people, or colleagues. A lot of my referrals come from colleagues, so I try to be a good person, not step on anybody. And then
Mhm.
sometimes people will jump into projects that they're not ready for.
Mhm.
I've done that myself. When I was a stylist, I thought that because I worked on television shows, I did museums, and all the things, that I was ready to be a costume designer for a feature, like
Okay.
a big movie on Apple TV. And I was not.
Mhm.
I learned really quickly that, okay, TV, you might be filming it for 10 days, so you can remember what everyone has on, but continuity is an MFer, especially if
Mhm.
it's a month or more, because you might shoot the first day, the last day, or you might shoot part of one day on
Okay.
day 10, and then another part of that day day 20. And so, which hair was Thea's part on? Was our part here or was it there? Um, what was her collar popped or not? Because in editing, everything can't be fixed in post.
Yeah.
So I had to learn the hard way that no, I wasn't quite ready. I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know how much money to ask for, how big of a team to ask for, because I was the lone ranger in this market.
Right.
But I was able to meet Donna Adrian, who was coming off of a Marvel thing. And that, let me tell you, when you jump into something that you're not quite ready for, it is very, it could be humiliating. It could be a little depressing. It could be hard to just show up because I had to take crying breaks in my car. But thank God I had Donna Adrian, who was, I think she was coming from Marvel or a Spike Lee movie. And she was like, baby girl, you did good. You did good. You just didn't know what you didn't know. We're going to get this together, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She empowered me and like brought me into her world, which is kind of like a little bit my world. It's kind of like interchange. I call her good folks. But no, I didn't steal them, but like, kept them as friends. I was talking about don't be stealing.
Right.
Don't do none of that. Don't steal none of my people because I'll fight you. But no, it's like I just want to be that for someone else, like how she was for me. Like, it's okay. You didn't know what you didn't know. It's okay. Because you can get with somebody else, like get her off of here. Yeah. Or, because sometimes older Black women can be mean as hell. But she was not. Sometimes people are rude to the people that's coming up.
Yeah.
She was very kind and she got it. She showed me respect. And so if I ever get in a situation where I'm brought in, I know because of how that felt that I will handle the next person with care and I will help them and help them lift their heads up and, go from there.
It can be done right. It can be done right, mentoring and getting that support, because you want those people, you need those people to cultivate your career, nurture your skills. And I hear people say this all the time, say your name in rooms and spaces that you're not in.
Yes.
That, right.
Yes.
Yeah. But this story also goes back to what we were saying about that imposter syndrome. You also have to try. Don't not do it because you don't feel like you're ready. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but there will be something that comes out of it.
Listen, I say be a smart imposter. Okay. Do the research.
Be an informed imposter.
Be an informed imposter and get up there and then become that person. Because look, the Tindler swindler, all them people that scamming people, you can scam for good. Scam your way into your dream position. Okay, let me stop. But not scam your way.
No, I hear you.
You know what I mean? Because that's going to be, I don't want it taken out of context. But you can put yourself. Is it? Can you scam for good? Can you scam for Jesus? I don't know.
Not scam for Jesus. What does success look like for you? Now you've set the boundaries that you want in place so that you can provide some semblance of balance in your life. You're doing the work that you're passionate about doing. What does long-term success look like for you? And then also, what does that look like for the talent that you bring in?
Sometimes with work, especially in this industry, we can go underwater and then pop back up. And it's like, oh, you had a baby. Oh, you got married, and you miss it all. So I don't want to miss things. And I also want to be to the point where I can delegate more, where I can spend more quality time and I'm doing less of the work. Like I probably drive 3 hours a day on top of working 10 to get my son to the places he needs, So I just want to have that place that kind of like in a good space and place, and being able to, take vacations when I want to. I want lots of great quality work, but me time. Like I want to take care of myself, which is so hard to neglect yourself when you're on projects. So I want to make sure that I'm eating healthy, doing all of my regimens and all those things, because let me tell you, you can start a project with a pedicure and then at the end it looked like Myra feet off of Martin, because you don't have time. So I want to make sure that I have time, I have a good team, and success would be paying them well and delegating more. So
Okay, paying well, delegating more. Is there a specific time frame for projects? Is there a specific budget for projects? What do those types of parameters look like for you?
um I do a lot because we're not in like LA or New York. So LA, New York, you'll have commercial casting directors. That's all they do is commercials.
Mhm.
You'll have people that only do Broadway. I do it all. I'm not doing Broadway, I'm not doing plays, but because I do a lot of different things, the rates are very different there. So
Mm.
I want people to respect my rates.
Mhm.
And respect what casting is. And if you don't know, you look into it. Because I think people think that you just see somebody on the street and it's like, hey, I got something coming up. And then that's that. No, it's auditioning them, making sure they know their lines and they're the right feel for it, and creating so many presentations sometimes. And,
Mhm.
um, organizing everyone's schedule and going with big changes at the very last minute. And
Mhm.
like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
We'll pay casting people very well, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned that because in the Baltimore Magazine article that you mentioned, they mentioned how you're on set, during production, and that how that isn't often the case for casting directors. So I love that you are there to even support and make sure your talent represents you well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will pull up, pop up.
Yeah.
And I did that in the beginning because of like, not insecurity, but because I was a Black girl with a company, right? And
Mhm.
I don't know the PAs on set. They could be lying, like casting didn't tell me, or sometimes the actors will lie. Now
Mhm.
most people on set are my friends, so they be like, girl, he tried to lie and say, and I know how your emails are, so I know he lying. So but before I had all of that and the support and a reputation, um I had to go because I didn't want my business to be over before it started because
Yeah.
somebody lied, or
Yeah.
someone showed up late, or someone reported something differently than what had happened. So, and
Yeah.
I want people to always be on their toes, like, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm watching the time. I know I have to let you go, but I want to hear at least one good, wild industry story. Do you have one for me? And I know you're a good storyteller. So,
One good wild industry story. Oh, okay.
yeah, that one.
It's not wild. Like, what you want? Like
Mhm.
cocktail, juicy, or like,
Sure.
no, this is like super PG, but think
If
of.
it's a good story, give it to me.
Okay.
Okay.
So when HBO flew me out to LA, one of my good friends, Steve Jones, he is Hollywood Confidential. He let me be his plus one for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They had like a event. They gave us free stuff, free food. It was so amazing. And I've never been in a room before where I didn't know one person.
Mhm.
So I was out of my element. Like, I go to Baltimore, like I said, I'm everybody's cousin. DC, we probably went to school together. I know people, but I was
Okay.
so uncomfortable. And Steve, although he's like Mr. Hollywood Confidential, and these celebrities love him, all that stuff like that, sometimes like in the LA rooms, it's a lot of fake stuff. And he's just like, all right, I gotta step out for a second. Like,
Mhm.
and I'm like, cool. Because I get it. It's a lot of fakeness. Like, I even
Mhm.
saw somebody from DC and I was like, don't I know you? I think I follow you or whatever. Aren't you from DC? He was like, no, no. And I ended up seeing his ass. And I was like, I knew I saw you. I said, that was really weird that you said you weren't from DC, but you were. But anyway,
Yeah.
Steve is gone. I'm in a place by myself. I'm like, golly, this is some bull. So I'm just sitting there all awkward, like with my drink, like, but I started doing lives maybe like the beginning of COVID, like regularly. I
Mhm.
don't know who's watching. I just be up there talking, being myself or whatever.
Mhm.
So this girl, like, oh, no. I'm sorry, let me back up.
Okay.
But I did do my lives, whatever. So I see the Black Power Ranger from back in my day, Zach. His name is Walter.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh my God, I just got to give you your props. I know this LA. I'm supposed to pretend I don't know who you are, but let me just give you your props, your flowers. I was like, before there was Black Panther, there was you. I said all the Black
Mhm,
boys were dressing up like the Black Power Ranger, even
mhm,
the Black girls. So I just think it's really dope that you're here. It's so nice to meet you, whatever.
mhm,
I was a casting director. I didn't say anything.
mhm.
And I was like, my son, can I take a picture for my son? Low key, I wanted a picture for me, but I was like, let me take a picture for my son. His name is Bruce Wayne, whatever. So we took
Oh, that's right. Okay, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So next thing I know, this girl, like beautiful, just comes over and she's like, oh, I didn't think I would see you here. And I just knew she was talking to him. And she was like, I watch all your lives. Sometimes they get a little crazy and you have weird people on
Ah,
there, but
uh-huh.
and I just love that you named your son Bruce Wayne. So she did this in front of the Black Power Ranger.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm just so happy that you're casting bigger stuff. I remember when you casting the true crime stuff or whatever. And I love her to this day. But she just gave me my props in front of him.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that what we're doing is going unnoticed or
Mhm.
not even making an impact. And she's like, every time you go live, you I don't know if she said every time, but he didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And what was dope was they both showed up the next day to see me on the panel.
Ah,
Yeah, so that's my crazy story.
that's a
I
good
mean,
story.
that's not crazy, but um, oh, I do got a juicy clip.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know if I should tell it.
Of course. I can always edit it out.
Okay, okay. Because sometimes, some days I'll be like, I don't care. I said what I said, but some days I'll be like, oh, did I have to start with violence? I don't know where I am today, but this one is maybe I shouldn't, but okay. I just want people to know, like, protect your work. It
Mhm.
takes 5 minutes to go to the Writers Guild of America. If you're on the East Coast, register for the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, register for the West Coast. And you can register an idea for that, whatever.
Okay. That was a gem. Thank you for that.
So, why I am such an advocate of this and making sure people's work is protected because I
Mhm.
work on a lot of stuff, whatever. But I kind of had a hater in my space, but I didn't know because they were cool as long as they were kind of like up here.
Mm.
And they were older, maybe about like 20 years, maybe, yeah. Because how old am I? Yeah, maybe like 15, 20 years older. And I looked up to them like a big sister.
Okay.
And,
Mhm.
I got them on TV when I was getting started. And, they were super, I thought, supportive, but as my star started to rise, I saw like I threw this amazing party with some people I did a movie with, and we had all these different people speak, and I noticed that they didn't put me on Instagram. They never, I was like, did you give me my speech or anything? And they were like, oh no, but they got Raheem Devon was there. It was Raheem Devon and David Banner, Maxine.
Mhm.
They got everybody else, but they didn't get me. And I'm the one
Mhm.
that invited you to the party. And I'm like your niece. So anyway, we I just started noticing more things. But I started in true crime, and that was like my wheelhouse. And I had a show that I was going to do. And basically this person stole my show and pitched it
No.
to one of the networks. I mean, one of the production companies that I work for, and filmed a reel. Um,
Oh my gosh.
and I still want to fight this lady to this day.
Yes. So that what look, when I asked you for your greatest disappointment, that wasn't it? That's not up there with
It was more like I want to fight you because like the other one was like a career disappointment. This was like, they always say betrayal will come from friends or family.
yeah.
That's why it's a betrayal.
Yeah.
Like them
Yeah.
people at the wire and all that, they didn't owe me anything. Um, so yeah, she was supposed to be one of the subjects in the true crime show because I wanted beautiful women who kind of had like a shady past, like whether they did some jail time or they dated
Okay.
drug dealers or whatever, but
Mhm.
they just look so beautiful and polished or whatever that you almost wouldn't believe their story unless they told you.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And she also took one of the people who I had on my list film it with her as well. Like be one of the subjects. So she was gonna be a subject and the other lady was gonna be a subject. So yeah, so
That's crazy.
I still want to hit her in the mouth to this day.
That's never going away.
That,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, where can the people find you, Thea?
So I am very findable.
You gotta be.
I'm on Instagram as Thea Washington Casting. I'm also on Facebook as Thea Washington Casting. And you can email me at theawashingtoncasting@gmail.com.
All right. Any special instructions you need to give the people so you're not any more overwhelmed than you need to be?
Listen, if you're trying to hire me, put "I'm trying to hire you" in the subject.
Subject line.
If you're an actor, please include photos that look like you. A few of them, your resume, your location, if you're in SAG or not SAG, all of that. Include that in the email as well.
Nice. Perfect. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Having me.
Yeah, this was a
My
good
hair is
episode.
doing some weird. I'm trying to. I see her tomorrow.
You don't have bad hair days.
Ugh.
That's for sure. That's that Pam Grier hair. That's your mama's hair, huh?
Yep, that's what she got for sure. But this is really cool. Thank you for having me.